Welcome everyone. Got another little craps practice going on today, and I figured that I'll show you how I make my grip, and I will talk a little bit about other grips, but as I've said before, I'm not going to tell you what is the proper or best grip. That's something you need to discover for yourself, and I put links on my previous video for just that, and I can put some other ones. So anyways, with when I pick up the dice, I have large fingers, so picking up the dice in a standard grip is difficult for me. And usually, as you can see, they part, and then I have to try to hold them together, and it just doesn't work very well for me. And as I mentioned before, in Howard Rock and Roller, he had what was called a magic toss, where he would pick up the dice at the end of the table and throw them like that. So I adapted the standard pincher grip and his magic toss grip. So when I pick up dice, I do the pincher, but lined up with the table, and when I pick it up, I hold my dice like this, and then I throw the dice. So that's how I do my grip and my throw. As I've said before, it's your grip and your throw is finding what works best for you. Not every grip will work for you. Not every toss will work for you. Not every position on the table will work for you. Of course, like most others, I prefer stick left 1 or stick left 2, but I can throw from the end of the table. If I have to throw from the end of the table, then I will do Howard Rock and Roller's magic dice toss, because my grip and throw from the end won't work because they're just being the wrong orientation. So I like my positions, and that's where I do best from. But either way, I enjoy playing craps, even if it's not in the optimal position on the table. So I'm going to set up for a hard ways, and we'll see how this dice set works for me today. And when I set it up, I set them slightly at an angle to the pass line. That allows me to roll my hand over to pick it up, and then when I pick up the dice, even if they shift a little bit, they're still lined up good enough. And then I throw the dice, and in this case it was a 7. But of course, on the come-out roll, that's not a bad thing. You make money on the pass line, unless you're a dark side player. And if that's the case, well, then it's not so good for you. So the point would be 5. And we'll just see how far we can go with this. And using my rolls, and I'll show you what they are at the end, you could figure out what would be the best betting strategy that you use for those rolls. And of course, if you happen to get a long roll, well, pretty much any strategy for betting will work for you. So there's a 4. I'll just take some of these red chips to use as markers. So the point was 5, next roll is 4. And I'll set it up again. So this hardways set works quite well for me. I also like the cross 6s. That does good for me too. And that's a 6, 4, 10. And over the 3 or 4 years that I've been playing, I have tried many different grips, many different dice sets. Some work better for me than others, depending on the position on the table. 3, 2, 5. That's a point hit. So I look at craps as just a really big learning experience. You can even do such nuancy things as point is 5 again, 4, 1, 5. You can do nuancy things, the angle of the dice. In my hand, when I pick them up, you can tell that they are slanted. I try to keep the back or the face of the dice, not the upper face, the back face, parallel to the end walls. And that's a hard 6. Yep. And that works fine if I am throwing the dice straight down the pass line to the point there. If I want to hit further over, due to the angle of the cones, I will want to have the dice not quite as parallel to the wall, so it can more closely match the slant of the cones. If I'm throwing towards the middle of the table, even more so. So why would I want to pick different spots on the table? Well, sometimes people happen to have, their chips in the way, and sometimes, even if they have 4, 5, 9, if they have several chips stacked up, 3 or 4, even that can really get in the way of the dice and cause them to go askew. So practice again is the key to this game. Once you've found hard 4, once you've found your grip and throw, and then you can, set little traps for yourself. Put a stack of chips down at the end. It doesn't have to be a huge stack like that. It can just be one here, maybe 1, 2, or 3 there. Someone's playing odds. And we'll see how my throws are and see if they affect the dice or a dice roll. So this can also make it a little more fun. Well, that was a 4-3. That was just a bad throw. I hit the alligator skin on the wall, and that made the dice just go totally random. So the puck would be off. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 throws, 8 including the 7 on the first come out throw. So I'll pick up these chips and try again. So a roll of 7 or 8 is certainly not bad. Depending on your betting strategy, you can make money off of that. When I started betting, I'm not going to get into betting strategies, at least not at this time. I used to do a full layout, either like 44 inside on a $10 table or 64 across. But then you're waiting to hit 3 to 5 times just to break even. So that's why you need to look at different betting strategies. So I'm going to go ahead and do the cross 6 layout, and we'll see how that one does. And that was a 12. So obviously not good for a come out throw. And they were both face dice showing, which means I actually threw it pretty good. But generally, I seem to have one of the dice at least go off axis. So that was a 3. And you can see how the chips interfered. So for right now, I'm just going to move the chips out of the way. I can do another session at another time, and we'll see how it all, see what other little traps we can set. So there's a 7, so we would have gotten back our pass line bet for the 3 that I just threw. Still would technically be down by 1 because of the 12 that I threw first. And that would have been my 3rd roll. And there's a 3. So this the cross 6 set doesn't seem to be doing very good for me. So I'm going to try and figure out what it is. So I've been using kind of a lofty throw. So this time I'm going to try more of a low trajectory and a little bit harder throw, and we'll just see what happens. Okay, so there's a 10. So the point is 10. And this is where I was talking about nuances and learning your grip and throw and different throws. And I've experimented enough that I know if the dice, if I do throw these cross 6s lofty like that, I do get a lot of the dark side numbers. Well, just got another 12. I guess now would be a good time to be betting the horn. So there's a lot of physics involved, which I'm not going to get into, at least not at this time. But, and there's a 7. So that was not a good roll at all. So I'm going to go back to my hard way set. But you have you have trajectory involved, velocity, rotation, table condition, where do you hit in relation to the wall, how hard, how high up do they bounce, how often do they bounce. There's a 3, 1, 4, so the point would be 4. So there's a lot of physics involved. And that kind of goes back to a previous statement that I made in an earlier video, saying craps dice control or dice influencing, hard 4. Let me go ahead and mark these. So that would have been on, then the point would be off for hitting point. Is it real? I guess to a degree, yes. You can lengthen the number of throws that you have, which would improve your odds of avoiding the 7. So the point is 8. But other than what I've seen on shows, whether YouTube or History Channel, like about the Dominator, to actually be able to get so good you can set the dice, throw them exactly a certain way, and have the number come out that you call, I don't know. I'm certainly not going to call anyone a liar who says they can do that, because if you can, I would love for you to show me. Oh, there's the 7, 4, 3, 7. But I think in order to get to that level of dice influencing or dice control, you would have to be playing for many, many, many years, and with tens, if not hundreds of thousands of throws. So, is it possible? Sure. You know, anything's possible, but I'm certainly not there yet. So I'm going to try one more time before we call it a session. Point would be 6. And hopefully I'll have a good lengthy roll this time. And again, I'm using the hard way set. Yep, there's a 7. So, not doing really good. If I was playing like this, throwing like this at a table in a casino, excuse me, either I would be relying on other people's throws, or I would probably just leave the table and come back later. Live to fight another day, as they say. So anyways, have a great day, and I hope that you like and subscribe, and I hope that I'll see you back here again.